I'm trying to speak in the most inclusive language as possible, and it's difficult for me to remember how to be inclusive. Please, if I'm saying something like it's their kids as well, I'm not trying to exclude people or be insensitive. Please know I am always trying to speak in a way that is sensitive and inclusive of all families. I don't mean to bring offense to anyone. If I'm speaking to my partner and I'm saying it's their kids as well, but really they're a stepfather or a step parent or something, take what I'm saying into the context of your family life. Whether you've adopted your kids or it's a step parent situation or whatever, they're still your children. Welcome back to my channel. I am here for a special mommy moment vlog. I decided that I wanted to do a Mother's Day vlog this year, and because Mother's Day lands on a Sunday when I put out my scripture videos, I decided to do this Mother's Day vlog for Monday for a mommy moment instead. So for this vlog, I will be reading a few books and talking about them, but I have also included just some clips of me reading some quotes from the one book I am reading, The Magic of Motherhood. I'm just putting clips of me reading that over top of some B-roll footage. I hope you enjoyed this Mommy Moment Mother's Day vlog, and let's just dive right into the vlog and the books. I needed to know that I wasn't alone in this, which is exactly how I want to start this book. So let me say that again. I see you. You are a good mom. Your house will be different. You will often feel overwhelmed by the mess, the piles of dishes, the sticky surfaces and crumbs. When you finally get around to cleaning, it lasts only a few hours, which makes you want to cry a little. Maybe a lot. You're always a mother. You're not only a mother. I guess I just feel like motherhood is a lot of wishing away hard seasons and then realizing they're gone forever. It's trying to claw back through time because you didn't realize what you were actually wishing away. I think it can be tempting to look at other mothers in different phases and think they have it easier than we do. Her kids are in school 6 hours a day. She has so much free time. Her kids are so young and innocent. I would trade this high school drama for a preschooler in a heartbeat. The grass is always greener, and motherhood is no exception. When we're in the thick of it, sometimes all we see is the hard part. We forget about the other side of the scale, even when it's tipped in our favor. So I picked up this nonfiction book. Looks like I got it at Value Village, and it's called My Mother, a Serial Killer. And I've always been interested in true crime stories. Usually I watch true crime documentaries or true crime podcasts. I don't typically read it, but I am interested in it. I saw this at the store and it looked really interesting. Dulcie Bodsworth was the unlikeliest serial killer. She was loved everywhere she went, and the townsfolk of Wilcanna, Australia, which she called home in the late 1950s, thought of her as kind and caring. The officers of the local police station found Dulcie witty and charming, and they looked forward to the scones and cakes she generously baked and delivered for their morning tea. That was one side of her. Only her daughter Hazel saw the real Dulcie, and what she saw terrified her. Dulcie was in fact a cold, calculating killer who, by 1958, had put 3 men in their graves, one of them the father of her 4 children. In one of the most infamous periods of Australian criminal history, she would have gotten away with it all had it not been for Hazel. Written by award-winning journalist Janet Fife Yeomans, together with Hazel Barron, My Mother, a Serial Killer is a chilling story of a murderous mother and the courageous daughter who put her in jail. Sounds intriguing, right? And it is nonfiction, so I'm not expecting it to be a thrilling, twisty ride or anything. This is not a thriller. This is real life. This is Hazel's experience growing up. But I was like, how can a book like this be so mind-numbingly boring and super confusing? I was gonna finish, when you're reading a story and there's a break, it's not a new chapter, it's just a break in the chapter, and they usually have a line, maybe just a large space. This one has the little asterisk thing there. And I was reading down and I was like, I'm just gonna get to the end of this and probably DNF. I couldn't even make it to the bottom of the page. I was like, I am so bored and I just don't care. Oh, he's got drool all over his ears.
A puppy.
It's a puppy. So my mother-in-law brought the baby back 20 minutes earlier than I was expecting. I was already so far in, and she'd killed one person, the dad, the father of these children. And parts of it are interesting because this mother had 4 kids with this guy. But you find out that she just up and left her other family. She was married and had 4 children previous to the time that she had Hazel and those 4 kids, like Hazel and 3 others. So she had 8 kids altogether, and no one knew about the first family. She just told Hazel this. And that family, I can't remember what happened to the husband. And you gotta think, this would have been like 30s, 40s, like 1940s time. She was working for this couple at a grocery store or something, and her baby was 9 months old, and she's like, hey, I have to go for surgery. Can you watch my baby while I'm in the hospital? And they're like, sure. She never came back. She just left the baby with this couple. And that couple had wanted kids but couldn't have kids or something like that. So I think they were okay to like keep the baby, I guess. I don't know. It's still such a weird situation. Like, they never agreed to keep the child even though they had talked about wanting to adopt a child. And then she had her 2 daughters were a couple of years old, and she brought them to like an orphanage, and I think she brought her older son to a different orphanage and gave the same story about needing time to go and have the surgery and recover. And she just left her children at these places. And I don't know how orphanages, like, do we have orphanages in Canada, or do we just have a system of foster care and foster parents and stuff? I'm not 100% sure like how an orphanage itself works, especially here. This is in Australia in, 30s, 40s, 50s time. But she just literally left her children. You can't do that nowadays. I mean, you can, but I know my grandfather, his mom left. Here in Canada, she just left him behind. She took his older sister because she could like walk and was a little bit more independent than a baby. And the neighbor found him in a crib in the house. They said, empty bottle, full diaper. And the neighbor was just like, I'll raise him. Like, it's just mind-blowing. So there are interesting things in the story, but I don't care. Like, I was 100 pages in and she'd killed the father. Basically, she just pushed him into a river. He was very, very, very sick. He'd just come back from the hospital. He had arthritis really bad. He was basically a cripple, and she was just tired of being with him, I guess, and used the excuse that he went to the river to get a drink of water because they were very, very poor, and just their situation of where they were living. You'd go down to the riverbank and could get like a cup of water, I guess, and just from the drugs and the arthritis and being in the hospital, he was dazed and confused and fell in. And that was the story that was kind of accepted. I think I was just getting to the point where this was the second person she was going to kill. And I mean, killing is bad. Murdering people is bad. And I think you have to kill 3 people to be considered a serial killer. And usually the reason why people are drawn to true crime and serial killer stories is because of the mythology of the serial killer. Now we're starting to focus more on the victims and sharing the victim story. But I think we were so focused on the serial killer themselves because it was fascinating because you're learning their patterns, what makes them tick, how they became the way that they are. Are they born that way? Nature versus nurture? Is there something missing, like literally missing in their brain? Is there some kind of chemical imbalance? The way they grow and change and evolve as a serial killer, all of this stuff, where this lady was like, I'm done with my husband, and just pushes him in a river. And I'm like, okay, that's terrible. It just seems so casual, I guess. Like, yeah, she's cold because she shoved her husband in a river and let him drown, but it's not like that compulsive need that a serial killer has to kill. Like, they have to do it kind of thing. Like what attracts us to those kind of stories. So I don't know. I was just bored. I couldn't get an audiobook of it, and it ends up being a DNF for me. So I ended up picking up this giant chunker of a book, but happened to get an audiobook for it from my library for free, so that was exciting. And sorry about the extra noise around. My son is home and banging around a chair. That's to sit on, not to bang. No bang. Things I Want My Daughter to Know by Elizabeth Noble. And every time I want to pick up this book, I want to wait until fall time because it's very fall vibes on the cover. Even the back has falling leaves. but I just keep putting it off. For whatever reason, I'm not ready to read it. Whatever, it keeps getting put off. So I'm like, okay, for this Mother's Day vlog, I'm going to read this book about daughters. And I found my bookmark from school 5 years ago. They got sibling photos done in the springtime. They don't do that anymore. And so I was like, well, these are my 2 daughters. So perfect. I got like the skinniest, tiniest bookmark for this big chunker of a book. This book, I'll just read the first little bit here. When Barbara realizes time is running out, she writes letters to her 4 daughters, aware they'll be facing the trials and triumphs of life without her. The mom gets cancer and is like, I still have so much to tell my daughters. So I thought the book was going to be more letters. Not just letters. I thought there might be a little bit of a story to it, but that there would be more letters. Or like maybe one of the daughters is getting engaged and married, and so there's a letter to her written like for the day you get engaged, for the day you get married, and she would read that letter. Or depending on their ages, like a school graduation or first kiss, first boyfriend, first period, going off to college, like whatever like life stages, and then there would be a letter for that, and then you'd see like the daughter's response to that and how she takes that advice. It's not exactly like that. The book opens up, you know, like the mother has already passed and they're getting ready for her funeral. She has 4 daughters and they are at different stages of life. The youngest is 15. The oldest, I think, is around her 30s, maybe in her 30s. I'm not sure. And she started writing a diary that she was going to pass on to, just one journal that she was going to pass on to all 4 of her daughters, and was like, you know, take care of this, pass it among each other, share this thing. And she was writing things in it, kind of like those life lessons, because she was married and had her 3 kids and then divorced, and there was an 8-year gap, and then she got remarried and had her 4th daughter. So she was talking about meeting Mark, her second husband, that she was with up until the end, and just like how she met him and fell in love and how that happened. So she's telling these stories in this journal, and she also wrote each one of her daughters a letter that was personally to them. So there is a little bit of the letter writing in this, but it's more the daughters living their lives after their mother has passed. I don't want to give away spoilers, but I do want to talk about something. So if you're very sensitive to spoilers at all, then this part will be spoilery. And I'll put up a little thing to warn you and you can skip ahead, but I won't specifically talk about who it happens to. But put yourself in the mother's shoes and in the daughter's shoes. So you have this big secret you want to share with one of your children, and you write it in a letter, and she reads it after you've died. In the letter, it explains that who you thought your father was your entire life is not actually your father. Your mother had had an affair, and nobody knows about it. I think the husband that she cheated on knows that there was an affair, and the guy that she was having an affair with knows that she got pregnant, but he wanted nothing to do with the baby. Everyone just assumes that the husband from her first marriage, who's the father of 2 of the 3 girls, was the father to the 3, and then her second marriage, she had the 1 kid with him. But you learn this guy's not the dad who they thought was the dad, the other guy's not the dad, and to top it all off, she writes in this letter, so the daughter can never confront her, like, Mom, what happened? She's also like, you don't need to know who your father is, it doesn't matter, you're all mine, and gives no indication of who the dad was. Now the daughter is angry and upset at her mother for waiting until she was dying to tell this information. She can't confront her mother. She has no way of finding out who her dad is. The mom talks in the letter like, I should have told you this when I was still alive. I should have found the time. I should have. I didn't. I am a coward. I backed out. But like, what do you do with that information? How do you reconcile that? So that's kind of upsetting. I'm kind of upset at the mom for this. I was like, how could you? She's like, I don't want this secret to die with me. I don't want to take this to my grave. And I'm kind of the mind, like there are guys, I'm sure it's happened both ways, but there are men, I've heard of stories where men are on their deathbed and they're like, oh, by the way, I've been cheating on you for the past half of our marriage, or I cheated on you back 20 years ago or whatever, I had an affair. I never told you about it. And then they die and you're like, how do I reconcile my marriage and my husband and what I thought our marriage was with this deathbed confession? And then that person has died, their conscience is free. It just seems so selfish and unfair because now you have to live with that and you're grieving the loss of your loved one on top of grieving the loss of what you thought your relationship was with that loved one, whether it was a husband who had cheated on you or your mother or father who's confessing like this isn't your real parent, or I'm not your real parent, or whatever. Biological, I shouldn't say real, biological parent isn't who you thought it was. Now you're grieving the loss of the person you thought they were, your perception of that person. Yeah, he's got a mask on his face, and it looks like this. Gavin's doing reading sprints. He's got a face mask on. It's just a lot, and I feel like if you've held that secret in for that long and you're feeling that guilty, then, I don't know, ask for a priest or somebody to come to your bed and confess that to them. Don't ruin your relationship with your spouse, your child, a loved one, because you feel guilty about that. You should have got that off your chest a long time ago. That all being said, I am really enjoying this book. So far, I think it's well written, and I'm enjoying the stories and everything. We're getting all 4 girls' perspectives. It wasn't exactly what I was expecting. I thought there'd be more letter writing. There isn't as much as I thought there would be, and I'm angry at the mom for this revelation. The printer is reachable, and he's like trying to fax somebody or something, which is never gonna happen, but it rings like that, and he loves it. Anyways, I'm gonna wrap this up now because I've talked for half an hour about a book I don't even like, and then complained about this book that I am liking, and the baby's here, and I gotta go. So I will update later when I've read a little bit more. Bye!
Bye.
I finished reading Things I Want My Daughters to Know, and I listened to it as an audiobook as well as reading it, and I thought the audiobook was done really well. It takes place in and around England, London, and so there is the English accents, and for somebody who's not good with accents, and if they're very strong, I don't understand what you're saying. I thought it was really well done, and I listened to it at 1.5 times speed, I think, which is what I normally listen to my books at, and each character voice, the females and males, I think it was all just one narrator, but they all sounded fairly distinct, even though for me, like hearing a British accent, it's all the same to me. Unless I really know you, I'm not going to be able to tell one voice from another, and they spoke clearly. Like, I understood them. It wasn't super thick accent. So if you're thinking about picking up this book as an audiobook, it's definitely accessible to people who are terrible with accents. I really enjoyed this book, but it didn't really feel like a motherhood book so much, even though you would think it would be, because of it being a mom who has passed away and has decided to write letters to her daughters and giving advice. So in some ways, like, yes, it is a motherhood book, and the relationship that a mom has with her daughters and how that relationship is different with your eldest daughter versus the baby and kids that from different marriages and stuff. So that was really interesting. This is a book that should have made me bawl my eyes out. I didn't, but it could definitely be very triggering and emotional for some people, especially if you have more recently lost your mother. Everyone's grief and grief process is different. It could have been 20 years ago that you lost your mom, and this book could still be making you cry, but the story takes place starting with the mother's funeral and going for about a year past it. So definitely that initial feeling of grief is there. So keep that in mind if you want to pick up this book. My mom is still alive, so there wasn't that emotional connection to the book for me, even though it really should have made me cry. I don't know why it didn't, but it was very, very emotional. Anyways, Kayla is doing reading sprints with her channel members, and I have 3 minutes left. So I just wanted to talk about my thoughts at the end of Things I Want My Daughters to Know. I really enjoyed it. Like, right at the very beginning, I was like, I'm gonna like this book. I don't know if it's quite a 5-star, but maybe like a 4 into the 4s. For a book that I was reading for Mother's Day vlog, I actually really liked the relationship that the daughters had with their stepfather. For the oldest 3, it's their stepfather. For the baby of the family, that's her father. And I thought it was a really sweet story because the 2 oldest daughters, when their mother got together with their stepfather and married and everything, they were already out of the house and in college. They were early 20s. And then the 3rd girl was, I think, 8 years old. So they all have a different relationship with the stepfather. So them all coming from different places with their relationship with the second husband, Mark, it was really sweet to see their relationship grow and change and strengthen after the loss of their mother and that connection that they had with Mark. There was also moments that happened in the book that you would want your mom around for. And again, I don't want to give away spoilers, so talking about it could be a bit of a spoiler, but they had some of these really emotional moments that they would have wanted their mom, and they did have times when they leaned on each other as sisters, but also went to Mark to talk and just have an adult parent figure in their life. The biological father, the first husband, had passed years prior to that as well, so he is not a part of the picture. So it was really sweet to see them grow and connect with Mark and turn to him during these difficult times when they just needed comfort and times when they needed advice. So I felt like it was more of a story about daughters and stepfathers growing together after the loss of the mother. And I thought the letters were really sweet, and I talked longer than my 3 minutes, but I am a kind of person who totally would write letters to my children. Are you that kind of person? That's what I want to know. Anyways, I'm going to wrap up this part talking about this book, and I'm going to read a little bit more of my other motherhood books during the next reading sprint. Comment down below, would you write letters to your loved ones if you knew you were dying? And I will see you with the next update. Rylan, what you building?
That's Dad. You know.
You don't know what you're doing?
No.
You're just digging in my front yard for nothing?
Yes.
Sounds about right. What are you doing, husband?
I'm trying to build this here fountain. Am I doing it right? Am I doing it wrong? No idea. Hopefully it's right.
Let's hope so.
Daddy. Oh, my Daddy.
Excuse me, baby.
Hi. Thank you.
Peaches is sad that we are outside and she is not.
Yeah.
I left the door open so you can get
Get me!
Give me.
Ah! Jasper, get back here! Hey! Get back in! You don't play on the street! I love your curls, baby. I'm never giving you a haircut, okay? I'm never cutting that beautiful, beautiful hair.
I will.
Rylan,
What?
to all the women out there who think they're doing a bad job and they're screwing it all up and they're like, oh my gosh, I have messed up my kids for life. What do you have to say to those moms?
Don't do that.
Don't do what? Don't think that?
Don't do that.
Don't screw them up?
No.
Is that what you're saying? Don't screw up your kids?
Yeah, that's what.
Okay. What do you want to say to encourage the mommies out there?
I don't know.
Do you think the moms are doing a better job than they think they're doing?
Probably not.
Probably not. Okay, I'm asking you, do you think moms do a good job at momming?
Yes.
Am I a good mom?
Yes.
Even if I think I'm being a bad mom?
Yeah.
Even on the days when things are really, really hard and tough and there's fighting and yelling and stuff like that, am I a good mom?
Yes.
Do you love me?
Yes.
I love you.
Always do.
Have a hug. Messy kids. Hi Maya, say hi to the vlog.
Hi.
I have a question for you, for moms out there.
What?
Sometimes moms feel like they are the worst parents in the world, the worst moms. They're screwing everything up and they're messing up their children. I asked Ryan this question. He said, don't do that.
What was
So
it?
that's good advice. They're messing up their kids, and he said, don't do that. My question is, what is your advice to moms who are having a bad day and feel like they're the worst moms in the world and they've screwed everything up and their kids hate them and they're just feeling bad? What's your advice to them?
If you have more kids and one's older than all the other ones, make that one babysit the other ones and go drink coffee.
Go have a little timeout. You have told me to have a
Yeah.
timeout before.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I said, I'll
you
watch
have-
Jesper and you go take a bath or record your books. and
Have
then
a
now you're
nap. Naps are so important.
Yeah, I said take a nap or a bath or go read and I'll watch Jesper.
Yes. You're amazing. What do you have to say to the mom, though, to make her feel better? Not just what she can do to feel better, but do you think that when moms are like, I'm the worst mom in the whole entire world, do you think they're probably the worst moms in the whole world? Do you think they're maybe being too hard on themselves? Do you think moms are not giving themselves enough credit for all the stuff that they do and how hard they work?
Sometimes.
Yeah, you think so? So what's one last thing you want to say to all the moms out there?
Have a good day. I don't know.
I love you, Maya.
I love you too.
Jasper, you're so dirty. Wash your face. Jasper, what do you want to say to all the mommies out there who are having a hard day? Can you say happy
Happy.
Mother's Day?
Day.
Happy?
No.
Happy?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Say good job.
A job.
So, my question to you, to all the moms out there who are having a bad day and feel like they're the worst moms in the world. They're screwing up everything. They're screwing up their children. What do you have to say to those moms out there? What's your message to them as a child?
Well, not to panic. You're not. And if you're having a bad day, just try not to lash out on the kids or your husband or whoever.
The cat.
Or animals. Take a break if you can. Just don't overwork yourself. Don't lash out. Give yourself a little break. You need it.
And we're not screwing up our kids as much as we think we are. And if we are, then we have to pay for the therapy when you're older.
Yeah.
Say Happy Mother's Day!
Happy Mother's Day!
I love you.
I love you too.
So happy Mother's Day, everybody. Today is officially Mother's Day, Sunday, May 12th. And I'm having this go up tomorrow. So my wonderful, amazing children are upstairs watching the baby and playing video games, of course, while I film this wrap-up outro part of the vlog. And my daughter just passed me her card that she drew for me, and she's 12 years old and loves to draw. And this is what she drew. Isn't that amazing? That's supposed to be me, I guess. I wish my hair looked that good in real life. I need to re-dye it. Let's turn the lights back up so we can see what's happening. Yeah, ignore the hair. I'm waiting for some hair dye to come in from Amazon. So, cheers to all the moms out there. I got my iced coffee. Just made it at home with regular coffee and put it in the freezer. So I read one full book for this vlog, which was Things I Want My Daughters to Know, which was the story about the mother who had cancer and decided to write each of her 4 daughters a personal letter to them, along with a journal that was to be shared among the 4 daughters. The journal talked about things like the day they were born and the experiences she had with each of her 4 pregnancies and deliveries. She talked about meeting her first husband and their relationship in the beginning and how it was good in the beginning. And then she also talked about meeting her second husband, and it was really sweet because the youngest daughter was reading that part and her second husband is her youngest's father, and she decided to share that with him because the journal was for them. She wrote him his own personal letter, but the journal was just for the daughters. But of course they could share what they felt like they wanted to share, and she shared that with her dad, and that was really sweet. And you got his thoughts throughout the book as well as the 4 daughters, and got to just hear how he felt about the message that she left for him and what she told the daughters, and it was really sweet. So that book was really good. I talked about, it felt more like a story between the daughters as sisters and the relationship that they have now that their mom is gone, as well as growing a relationship with their stepfather, which was really, really sweet. I have also been reading 2 non-fiction books about motherhood that are more like letters. The one book I am reading, Motherhood is Magic. I can't find it right now. I thought I knew where it was. Apparently it's not there, or my daughter couldn't find it anyways. But that one is a Christian book, I believe, but it is not super Christian. If you are not a Christian mother, but you want a book that just shares insight and wisdom and encouragement, you can still read it without feeling like it is just a message about faith and salvation and Jesus. There is a little bit of like, God helped us get through this, or more Christian language a little bit, but it's not a book about God or anything. It's just these moms happen to be Christians and have faith. I read some of the quotes to you at the beginning of this video. There's so much to impact in there, and every quote I gave, I can make a whole mommy moment on. I'm getting lots out of it, nuggets of wisdom and encouragement. And then I also picked up, I did a book haul that you can watch about going going online to shop for a capybara, and in that I got this book, Send Me Into the Woods Alone, Essays on Motherhood by Erin Pepler, and this is a Canadian author. And this book was written, it's essays, but these essays were written prior to 2020, and she does make a note about that in the beginning. She actually talks about, like, in the introduction, she is an atheist. So if you're looking for a very non-Christian look on motherhood, it's about motherhood, it's messy, whatever your beliefs are, it's challenging. The only thing with this is that there's going to be a little bit more language in it that is not PG. This book and The Magic of Motherhood, obviously I'm not going to finish for these vlogs. It's something you can just pick up and read one in the morning or before bed or whatever and have that encouragement. I will slowly make my way through these as I have time. I did want to share the one I was just reading now because I am posting this on the internet, because I'm sharing this on social media. I wanted to share this one, which he says here. This one is Everyone Lies on the Internet. So, a really sweet mom at my kid's school once told me that I'm her idea of mom goals because I clearly have my poop together while she feels like a scatterbrained moron. I relate to the scatterbrained part at least sometimes. When you are that scatterbrained, you really do feel like a moron, and it is very difficult to stay positive and not feel stupid and you're losing your mind. I've been struggling with that a lot lately, I'll be honest with you. It's tough and we need to be more gentle on ourselves. So this sweet mom at the school said, "You always know what's going on at the school and pack these great lunches and volunteer on field trips and give awesome teacher gifts even though you're working. And I have no idea when there's an assembly or what's going on," she said with a laugh. And she continues on, but I totally relate to the mom who is praising Erin in this. And then Erin, she did tell the mom in here this stuff as well, but here's what she's telling us. But here's the full truth. I volunteer on field trips because I have anxiety and I am convinced something bad is going to happen to my kids if I'm not there. I make really good lunches for my kids, but I suck at taking care of myself and usually eat a piece of banana bread in my car or have leftovers at my desk at 2 in the afternoon because I realize I haven't had anything but coffee all day. I know what's going on at school because I'm a control freak who needs information to feel safe, and I have a hard time saying no when asked to volunteer. I give awesome teacher gifts because I genuinely like the teachers, but also because I want them to like me back and be nice to my kids. My house is a mess and the inside of my car looks like the dumpster behind Starbucks. Same. My car is disgusting. I take my kids to piano and swim lessons every week, but we're late for school all the damn time. The secretary definitely hates me. Yes, 100% me. Speaking on this part, we don't know what's going on behind somebody who looks all put together. Like, I feel bad because I can't volunteer, and I have volunteered in the past for field trips and stuff, but right now it's really hard because I have another baby. I feel bad that I'm not volunteering even though I'm at home all day. So it's really hard when you see this mom there who's at all the field trips and she's volunteering, she's the class mother or whatever. She's doing so much and you feel bad because you're not that mom. But you can't look at her and think she has it all put together and she's a better mom than me because you don't know. Like she said, I volunteer on field trips because I have anxiety and I am convinced that something's going to happen if I am not there with my children. Where I don't have anxiety. I'm like, good, go have fun at your field trip. Tell me about it when you get home. I'm excited for you. They'll call me if there's a problem. So we can't judge ourselves based on what other people are doing. And we also can't judge, like, if you're the mom who's there volunteering for everything, you can't look at me and say, like, well, you're not working, you're home all the time, why aren't you volunteering? You should be doing this. You don't know my life. You don't know what I'm going through. You don't know why I'm choosing not to volunteer. And it doesn't matter. Even if I am just a bad mom at home being lazy, that's none of your business. We can't look at other people's lifestyle from the outside and think one of two things. Either like they're amazing, they have it all together, or like, why aren't they doing these things, and being judgmental that way. And then I want to read the part that she talks about. I was flattered but also completely shocked that this woman, who had known me for several years by this point, didn't realize what a hot mess I was. Why not? Because she follows me on social media, where I share pictures of those awesome lunches and teacher gifts and very rarely post about all the times I dropped the ball. And then she goes on later to say, the internet isn't real life. It's basically a costume party. Social media is fun, but even when we're honest and real, there's still a performative element to what we post. At its heart, social media is just a series of platforms designed to sell us things, from actual products to aesthetics and opinions, and we're all just selling something back. I swear up and down that I represent myself honestly on social media, but I still decide what you see and what you don't. I am not particularly polished, but my feed is just as curated as any influencers. I try to show the good, the bad, and the ugly, but when I feel hideous or have an ugly cry during an awful day, I don't rush online to document it. Nothing anyone puts into the world is entirely objective, and that includes the most authentic oversharers on the internet. It definitely includes me. I'm not a manipulative person, and I'm always going to tell the truth, but it's still just my version of a much bigger story. As someone right now who is sharing this on social media, I really related to this. I try to be very honest on here, and I've done these clean with me videos, and you can see the mess, but I'm still choosing to share that part of it with you. I'm still choosing to share the messy kitchen or the floors or my house with you. You still only see what I choose for you to see. This video here, there is a lot of editing that goes into these videos, no matter how real and honest and raw that you are. So you have to keep in mind, no matter who you're watching, you're still seeing what they're choosing for you to see. So that's what I wanted to share, to keep in mind with living in a world of social media now. You just worried about what you were doing. You didn't see the moms around the world and what they were doing like we do now. I can Google anything I'd ever want to know about pregnancy, childbirth, or motherhood, and within seconds, I have access to 1,000 opinions on the subject. This is useful, and it's absolutely overwhelming. And, may I add, those 1,000 opinions are all different. The internet is a blessing and a curse all at the same time, and that can be its own completely different video. So I just wanted to share with you to keep this in mind, what you're seeing of other people, and don't get overwhelmed by all the thousands of opinions you are getting from other people. Trust your instinct as a mother, as a woman, your woman's intuition. Whoever may be watching this who is taking care of little children, trust your instincts. Go to trusted resources. And oftentimes when we have a baby, we get all the very helpful comments from people, starting with when they start seeing a baby bump on you, and strangers in the street will literally, you're shopping at Walmart or something, and they'll literally come up to you and give you advice because they see that you're pregnant. You may get good advice from somebody in the grocery store. Maybe God does put somebody in your path. It's going to be an uplifting, positive, encouraging message like, you're doing a good job, mom, keep it up. You're awesome. That's great. God's never going to be like, you're terrible. It's good to listen to people who didn't grow up in this kind of environment, in this world of technology and internet and access to all the information. Trust your doctors and your nurses and people who work in medical fields and with babies, like doulas and midwives. You can Google things, but you can't trust Google and everything you read on the internet. You're going to get too many opinions. So it is good to get advice, even like different opinions on things, and then ultimately you have to trust your own gut. If you're in a relationship with the father or your partner, even if they are not a biological part of your child's life, you are with them for a reason. Go to them. My husband and I have differing opinions when it comes to raising kids. We have differing opinions, from everything about what music to put on in the car, to how to load a dishwasher, to how to discipline our children. But that doesn't make his opinions, his advice, his experience invalid. You're with your partner for a reason, and you're there to support one another. So get advice from them. Ask them, what should we do in this situation? And chances are they're I just want to talk about how we get bogged down with the amount of information we are given. And just trust yourself, mom, dad, parent. Trust your instincts. Trust yourself to do what is best for your kids. And you may get information later on or learn things later on that you think, I would have done things differently, but all you can do is do what you can now in the situation with the information that you have now. My daughter is in grade 7, coming up to the end of grade 7 here. And if I knew then what I know now, I probably would have had my daughter repeat. We have what's called ECDP here, basically preschool. It's early childhood development program, or repeat kindergarten. They don't actually hold kids back now or repeat grades now, but I can't beat myself up for not making that decision 6 years ago. We are where we are now, and I have to deal with this now. I can't go back 6 years and change what I did, and I have that information now for my 2-year-old when it comes to his schooling time, to maybe wait until he's a little bit older to go into school or whatever, because they are actually born both in January. So when school starts in September, I know what it's like to have a baby born in January and how old they'll be, kind of thing. So I can make better decisions now for my 4th baby.
So parenting is a whole lot like pancakes. For the most part, they're going to turn out fine, but you should probably apologize to the first one.
But for my first child and my older children, I can make different decisions now, but I can't live in the regret of the past. So you're not always going to get it right. There are things you would have changed had you known better, but just do the best that you can now. That is my message to you. I talk a lot. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. I shared a scripture video today on Sunday with a little Mother's Day message. You can go watch that. Happy Mother's Day, Mom. Happy Mother's Day to my mother-in-law, to my sister-in-law, to all of my friends, all the moms out there. However you became a mom, whatever your journey is right now, you're doing amazing. You're not screwing up your kids as much as you think. Straight from the words of my own children. Take a break if you need a break. My daughter talked about if you have older kids, like my older kids are watching the baby right now kind of thing. He's not a baby, he's 2, but he needs even more watching than a baby does because he's active and getting into all kinds of trouble. It's fun. Even if you do have just one baby or 2 kids that are quite little, it's okay to put your baby down in the crib and walk away and go to the bathroom for a minute, have that 5-minute shower. Your baby's gonna cry. They will survive. Make sure that they're safe. I know people who've taken the baby monitor and brought it into the bathroom and then turned it down really low. It's good if you have the baby monitors with the video in them because then you can see if your baby is crying themselves to sleep, you can still see that they're breathing and they're okay. It's okay to take that 5-minute break. It's okay to ask for help. There's something you need to know. You are not weak if you need backup. You are not needy if you ask your husband to take a late night diaper change. You're not lazy if you ask grandparents to watch the kids sometimes, or if you hire a house cleaner because you barely have time to bathe yourself, let alone scrub the tile. Mothers, whether we stay at home, work from home, work full-time, or work overtime, are managing a whole lot of crazy, and sometimes we need help. Please stop telling yourself you need to have it all together because none of us do. We cannot journey alone. Was it this book that I was reading that talked about asking for help? She talked about in this, her pregnancies were the worst. She had such a hard time with her pregnancies, and her newborn was so easy. She never even thought about mothers who go through like postpartum depression and have a hard time and have kids with colic. She says when you're pregnant, you're taken care of so much and you're going to the doctor constantly and everyone's taking care of you. And then the baby's born and they're like, here's your baby. Go home. See you later. And she says, but who takes care of mothers as their hormones shift and their bodies change and their lives are dramatically, irrevocably altered? Even when things are wonderful, as they were for me, everything is also brand new. It's okay to ask for help. You need help. It doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you a bad mother. It doesn't mean you're screwing it up. We all need help in our lives at different stages of our lives. And motherhood, especially as a new mom with a baby, it's all brand new. That baby's brand new to life. And it's hard and it's difficult and it's okay to ask for help. You are not failing because you are asking for help. If you need help, get help. Just to have somebody come over and hold the baby while you take a shower. Your baby will survive without you for 5 minutes. Trust me, they will. And it's okay to put your baby down and let them cry for a little bit. I know how hard it can be. I've tried to let my babies cry it out. It is very, very difficult. And you don't want to leave them in there screaming for 30, 45 minutes straight. That's not good for anybody. I get that. But 5 minutes just for you to calm down, get a drink of water, scarf down a banana or something semi-healthy for you to eat, get a cup of coffee, whatever it is, take care of yourself so that you can take care of your baby. And I'll leave you with this last little thing she says here. If your days are mostly joy-filled and magical, I hope you soak that in. And if they're not, no, it's okay. It's normal. God bless you, mothers. Happy Mother's Day. I don't know what you can comment down below. Comment down some flower emojis if you don't have anything else to say. If you've stuck around for this, thank you so very much. I appreciate all the views. And I will see you next time. Bye.